The Ohio River, though wide and commanding, is a safe haven for a wartime ship.
After the landing, we kept on going because our tank was
Welcome aboard
fixed for artillery.
LST-325, the only operational World War II vessel of its kind afloat in the U.S. The LST stretches across more than 100 yards of the Ohio River bank in Evansville, Indiana.
The guns you saw on the big deck above us were 20mm AA guns, two great big 40mm called Bofer cannons.
LST stands for Landing Ship Tank, delivering battle-ready tanks, vehicles, and soldiers to battlefronts during World War II and the Korean War. Soldiers like Pedro CARRILLO.
After the landing, just kept on going till the infantry comes, and then we set up fire for those people to get away clean from the enemy.
It's been 77 years since retired Sergeant First Class Pedro CARRILLO first stepped aboard a ship like this.
I was 17 when I came in the Navy. My dad had a sign for me.
But after all that time, the 94-year-old has never lost his sea legs, touring the LST on a surprise trip organized by Honor Flight Bluegrass.
If you were an 18-year-old in 1945, you're 93, 94 years old. That's your youngest World War II veteran right now.
Jeff Toki is the chairman of Honor Flight's Kentucky chapter, each year flying U.S. war veterans to Washington, D.C. for free, except in 2020.
Typically this year, we would have flown about 240 veterans. So that's 240 veterans who could not go this year. And of course, they're the most vulnerable group. Can you imagine taking a plane load of veterans who are 65 to 95? You just can't do that.
With D.C. trips grounded due to the pandemic, Honor Flight Bluegrass,
It was launched in 1942.
is conducting smaller ground missions.
There's something special that a World War II veteran would like to do during these difficult times. We would like to make that happen.
On the beach, just so that the tanks could roll off.
The trip to Evansville could not have happened without the help of CARRILLO's daughter.
Oh, a very outgoing one. He's so funny. He keeps everybody in stitches.
That's retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Connie CARRILLO.
Very excited. My dad was so elated knowing that he would be able to go on LST. Brings back memories for him.
Connie CARRILLO served her country for 20 years in the Air Force. Her father retired after 23, 20 of those in the U.S. Army.
The LST is often credited as the ship that won World War II, but it also served the country well during the Korean War, and that would have been the time Pedro CARRILLO was aboard.
And it stands today. We'll be blessed if we all invest in the USA.
And as I said, these are the men that helped make that happen.
The CARRILLOs toured the entire ship, the massive deck, tight sleeping quarters.
Another thing a helmet was good for was digging a trench.
The captain's nest.
Steady.
And then CARRILLO set his sights on the big 20 mil.
I'm really pleased that he's here with us and he's able to tell the tour guide a few extra things about what's going on.
The LST serves as a floating monument to veterans like Pedro CARRILLO, who risked everything to preserve the nation.
But within about 5 years, 90% of all the World War II veterans will be gone. And you're talking about living history here. They can tell you one-on-one what it was like to be an 18-year-old in France or Germany or Japan.
It was a good, fun trip.
In other words, mission accomplished.
Here comes the freedom man.
On the banks of the Ohio River.
Time flew by fast.
Jonathan Gregg, Spectrum News.